Greetings, I'm John from Two Brothers RC. Good to see you again. Let's start off this video today by talking about the E-flite RV-7, and let's temper our expectations of this by making it clear up front that this is a scale aerobat. This is not a bush plane, and it is not a 3D plane, so expecting it to do anything of that particular nature is going to leave you disappointed. And that's okay, because everybody's got their own flying styles and interesting ways of doing things, but the reputation the E-flite RV-7 has picked up over the recent year is not warranted whatsoever. It's actually a good little plane for the price, clocking in right now at $269. So let's see what it can do. The RV-7 is an aerobat. Like I said, it's not a 3D plane, and it's definitely not a bush plane. It's the perfect airframe to learn precision aerobatics with at a reasonable cost. Plus, it's just gorgeous. Now, it's true that it comes with plastic servos, but unless you're abusing the hell out of it, they're unlikely to be any issue. The airframe is light, which is perfect for plastic-geared servo setups. The RV-7 is nose-heavy by default. This, paired with its short-coupled design and small control surfaces, makes it very difficult to hover in torque rolls, so I'm not even going to bother covering this until later in the vid, because there's some neat little tricks you can do with it. Beyond scale aerobatics and precision aerobatics are what the RV-7 excels at. You can tumble it, spin it, toss it around, and it doesn't complain. It's quite good at beyond scale aerobatics. Or if you just want to fly in lazy circles, it'll do that too, effortlessly even. The RV-7 is a good all-around airframe if you're not worried about it being somewhat nose-heavy, because no matter where you put the battery, it's gonna fly nose-heavy. It's a consequence of the design. Stability by default. In stock form, the RV-7 kinda sounds like a shopping cart full of aluminum cans. It's not the most pleasant sound in the world, so I'll show you how to fix that later in the vid with some Dubro 2-inch treaded wheels. Just know that landing this plane takes technique, just like the full-scale RV-7 does. It doesn't bounce because it's a bad airplane. It bounces because it's an RV-7. Forward pressure on the elevator helps, but what really does the trick is a little bit of elevator compensation in the flap system. Check the settings on screen and pause so you can adjust your own transmitter. This will make the RV-7 stick to pavement much easier and avoid that dreaded bounce you no doubt have heard so much about. Wheel landings with this flap trim setup are stupidly easy, and if you're a purist, you might scoff at this, but I mean, have fun scoffing while you bounce like crazy. I'd rather use my transmitter for what it was designed for, making my life easier so I can focus on enjoying flying. With the flaps trimmed correctly, the RV-7 is just as easy to perform wheel takeoffs too. It's not particularly sensitive at all, no more than any other tail dragger is. If you let the tail rise on its own and throttle up smoothly, you'll be rewarded with super easy takeoffs that make you look like a professional. It's a joy to fly, very predictable too, especially in a stall.
Power off stall first. Hold the elevator. That's stupid gentle. That's even with the battery all the way back, okay? We're gonna put it into a power on stall. Yep, drops a wing as you would expect.
I think I can confidently say that where it succeeds the most is flying precisely. If you're looking to improve your piloting skills, the RV-7 is an inexpensive model to learn to fly better. I've traditionally had issues doing rolling circles, and I learned rolling circles in straight rolls quickly using the RV-7 to improve my piloting. I had the most fun flying it just beyond scale, getting myself out of my own comfort zone and using the RV-7's innate nose heaviness to my advantage. It's so stable in aerobatics. You're not going to get 3D flying out of it, and you shouldn't expect to, but you'll have a ton of fun doing precision acro. The overall score for the RV-7 is a solid 9.5 out of 10. It succeeds at being what it's supposed to be. The wheels are noisy, and I'll grant you that, so it pulls half a point off of the score. Otherwise, it's pretty much perfect just the way that it is. Are the landing gear potentially a weak point? Sure. But just about every plane will suffer damage if you land it poorly. They're airplanes after all, not monster trucks. Technique and finesse are required to land a scale airplane, so if you want something that could be Harrier landed and smashed into the ground, buy yourself a 3D plane instead and smash it to your heart's content. If you feel like you've mastered the RV-7 or you just want some more power Tim Taylor style, get yourself a new Avian 60 amp ESC and the motor from the Maule M7.
96.3 miles per hour.
Hit up the links in the description for both upgrade components. It'll turn the RV-7 into an insane little 3D bird. You may want to consider upgrading the servos to metal geared units as well, also in the description so that you can toss it around without worrying about stripping a gear in flight. The plus side to all this power is that it becomes much easier to hover and you can Harrier it too. Oh, and this mod makes it possible to perform reverse thrust hovering as well. It's a fun way to get a discount speed demon that's super tough and tons of fun to fly. Now, let's cover the wheel upgrade. Here's a stock wheel. You'll notice that there's no give to it, so all the force is transferred directly to the fuselage when I press down. Plus, they're kind of noisy too when they're rolling. Horizon knows that this is an issue, so they've been updating newer models like the Viper 70 with squishy versions of these tires. The RV-7 hasn't gotten that upgrade yet, so I suggest using Dubro 2-inch treaded low bounce wheels. Notice the give when pressure is applied to them. Much better than stock. We'll speed through disassembly here because it's pretty easy to figure out how to take them apart. The real technique is using a drill bit to carve out a hole for the axle to slip onto. This will take some effort and it's kind of annoying. You could do it quickly using a power tool, but you could also ruin the wheel if it isn't perfectly straight. So what I suggest doing is gripping the bit with a toothed pair of pliers. Hold it firmly and screw the wheel onto the drill bit until it passes through. It'll take a bit of work, and maybe it might be easier to use a C-clamp to make it easier on your hands, but it will pass through eventually. Do this to both sides, lube up the wheel, and add a washer or two and you're good to go. A little bit of effort makes this plane even better than it is in stock configuration. Let us know what you think on our Discord server, and we'll see you again next time. Cheers!